Pokemon Nuzlocke. Unless you've been living under a rock or maybe you're just out of touch with the latest Pokemon drama, you're probably aware that these challenges can get pretty wild. But for those of you who aren't in the loop, let me break it down for you. A Nuzlocke is a fan-made rule set that turns your friendly Pokemon adventure into a ruthless survival game. Imagine this, you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter in each area, and if one of your Pokemon faints, it's not just a minor setback, it's a permanent game over for that Pokemon. Oh, and did I forget to mention that you cannot overlevel any of your Pokemon either? That's right. It's Pokemon, but with a hefty dose of heartbreak and strategy that'll make you question all your life choices. So, for today's video, I'm diving headfirst into my very first Pokemon Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge on Pokemon Emerald. You might be wondering, why on earth would I willingly subject myself to this heart-wrenching ordeal? Not only am I here to see if I can survive this ruthless challenge without losing my sanity, or my entire Pokemon team, but I'm also doing it to keep you lovely folks entertained. Think of this as a high-stakes reality show where I'm the hapless contestant and every battle's an emotional roller coaster. And hey, since you're joining me on this wild ride, why not show some love? Drop a like, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. I've set myself the goal of hitting 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and with your help, I'm confident we can smash that target. So, let's make this challenge legendary, one epic fail at a time. And there we were, folks. The grand adventure begins in the Hoenn region, starting in the quaint and totally not suspicious Little Root Town. You know, that place where every 10-year-old dreams of becoming the Pokemon Master? Little did I know my long-awaited journey was about to turn into a roller coaster of chaos and triumph. I finally arrived at my new home, threw my stuff down like I was in a super rush game of Tetris, and my mom casually mentioned that I should find one of my dad's old pals, Professor Birch. So I stepped outside, ready for my epic quest. But surprise, surprise, I stumbled upon Professor Birch in full-on panic mode, being chased by a wild Zigzagoon. Yeah, because that's how all great Pokemon adventures start, suddenly being drafted into a wild animal rescue mission. Professor Birch was flailing around like a dancer having a bad day, and he asked me to help him out. And guess what? He's like, here, pick one of these Pokemon from my bag. This was my moment, folks. I could feel the excitement, like the thrill of winning the lottery, but with fewer taxes and more adorable creatures. I chose Mudkip. Why? Because Mudkip is awesome. And besides, who doesn't want a Pokemon that can swim like a pro and has a fin that screams, I'm cute as boy? Mudkip, who I decided to nickname Poseidon because obviously he's destined to rule the seas, or at least a local grass patch, took out that Zigzagoon faster than you could say Rock Smash. Professor Birch, clearly impressed by Poseidon's watery wrath, was like, you keep him. And just like that, Poseidon and I were officially a team. We were ready to conquer Hoenn, one gym badge at a time. So, we headed north to find my rival May, who challenged me to our first official gym battle. May's Treecko was like, I'm ready, but ended up more like, I'm cooked. Thanks to the Nuzlocke rule, the real challenge wouldn't really start though until we got our first set of Pokeballs. But hey, that didn't matter because Poseidon wasn't about to let Treecko steal the spotlight. In the end, May's Treecko got absolutely bodied, and I realized that maybe, just maybe, I'm on the way to becoming the Pokemon Master I always dreamed of. Fast forward a bit, and Birch hands May and me our first batch of Pokeballs. Time for the real challenge to start, and time to dive into our first encounters. On Route 101, I snagged a Poochyena and named him Cerberus. Classic, right? On Route 103, I was pretty stoked to catch a Wingull, which I nicknamed Arcanthus. Who knew a Seagull could be so exciting? Next up, Route 102, where I captured a Zigzagoon. The same one that had Professor Birch practically auditioning for a horror film. I named the Zigzagoon Cerberus 2. Not my most creative moment, but hey, it's a name. I couldn't think of another one. Poseidon, my Mudkip, then went on a trainer smashing spree, proving he's not just a pretty face with fins. We eventually hit Petalburg City, where my dad Norman is a gym leader. That's right, my dad's the big cheese here, and I'm gonna have to battle him later. But before I could stress about that, Wally barges in, interrupts our chat, and my dad gives him a Zigzagoon and some Pokeballs. And guess what? I'm now teaching somebody else how to catch Pokemon on my very first day, apparently. Not gonna lie, I was a tad green with envy when Wally caught a Routes, one of my favorite Pokemon from the Hoenn region. Before sending Wally and I off, Dad gives us the classic go to Rustboro City pep talk. I made sure to make a quick pit stop at the Pokemart to stock up on Pokeballs before heading west. On Route 104, I caught a Wurmple and I didn't even bother giving it a nickname. That thing went straight to the PC. Then in Petalburg Woods, I snagged a Shroomish and named her Artemis. Onward to Rustboro City we go. Hold up, plot twist. We ran into our first Team Aqua member. Poseidon was pumped and ready to send his troublemaker packing. With a look of determination, Poseidon unleashed a few water guns and turned the Team Aqua grunts Poochyena into a soggy mess. After a few more showdowns with my trusty sidekicks Artemis and Poseidon, we finally rode into Rustboro City. Time to face the gym leader Roxanne and see if our team can handle her rock-solid challenge. Get it? Because she's a rock-type gym leader? The first gym battle went exactly as planned. Poseidon turned into a water gun machine and wrenched through Roxanne's entire team. And get this, After winning, Poseidon evolved into a Marshtomp. We were officially upgraded. Right after that, we hit Route 116 and caught a Whismur, naming him Apollo to keep with our Greek mythology theme. If you haven't noticed by now, all my Pokemon are getting names inspired by Greek gods and goddesses. Next stop was Rust Turf Tunnel, where we ran into another Team Aqua Goon who had stolen an old man's Wingull, so time for some grandpa avenging. Poseidon and crew made quick work of the thief and defeated his Poochyena. We returned the Wingull to its owner, Mr. Briny, who then offered to give us a ride to Dewford Town. But before meeting up with him, May popped up for another battle. Her team was a bit stronger this time, but Cerberus and Arcanthus were up to the challenge. Cerberus chomped down on our Wingull, and Arcanthus' wing attack grounded her Trico. Victory was ours, no casualties, just pure glory. Speaking of grandpas, Mr. Briny gave us a lift to Dewford Town. We nabbed the Makuhita in Granite Cave and named him Achilles. Sure, I was hoping for an Aeron, but Achilles would do just fine. We also met Steven, became good friends, caught a Magikarp in Dewford Town named Neptune naturally, and geared up to challenge the second gym leader, Brawly. Now remember how I was excited about that Wingull? Well, this is why. Arcanthus single-handedly took down Brawly's entire team with nothing but wing attack and a single supersonic. Machop, Meditite, and Makuhita. If that's not MVP material, then I don't know what is. After snagging the second gym badge, Mr. Briny transported us to Slateport City where new adventures awaited us. Upon arriving in Slateport City, I had one mission, find the wild Electrike. So I headed north to Route 110 and started hunting through grass patches. First encounter, Wingull, dupe. Second encounter, Poochyena, dupe again. But third time's a charm. Electrike appeared and I snatched her up, naming her Hera after Zeus's wife. With Hera now on the team, we hit the Oceanic Museum, only to find it swarming with Team Aqua members. We went upstairs, found Captain Stern, and got ambushed by two grunts. No sweat, Hera and Poseidon made quick work of them as per usual. After the battle, I journeyed northeast and had to deal with Professor Birch's surprise visit, followed by another showdown with May. This time, her Grovyle gave us a mini heart attack. Poseidon easily disposed of her first Pokemon and then came out her Grovyle. One thing to note in hardcore Nuzlocke is that you have to play the game on set mode, which means you cannot switch your Pokemon in response to your opponent's Pokemon feigning. Because of this, you have to throw away a turn in order to switch out. Arcanthus got switched into the battle with Grovyle and took an absorb attack that was originally directed towards Poseidon. Arcanthus took a beating but managed to pull through with just 6 HP left. Grovyle went down and May's new Slugma was toast after a couple water guns from Poseidon. We ran back to the Pokemon Center to heal up. Next stop was Mauville City, home of the electric type gym leader Watson. But first, Wally challenged us again. Let's just say his Rots could use a little bit more training and his team could use a few extra Pokemon. Inside Watson's gym, Poseidon was ready. Watson runs 4 Pokemon on his team: Voltorb, Electrike, Magneton, and Manectric. Marshtomp, aka Poseidon, is part ground, which means he can't take any damage to his electric type moves and he can just spam Mudshot to slow his team while also doing super effective damage to them. As you can probably guess, this battle ended in a shocking defeat for Watson. With Mudshot, Poseidon mowed through Watson's Voltorb, Electrike, Magneton, and finally his big hitter Manectric with ease. Watson's team didn't stand a chance. 3 gym badges in the bag and not a single casualty. Continuing north from Mauville, we encountered an Oddish on Route 117, which we named Artemis just in case we ever lose our Breloom. Oh, did I mention Shroomish evolved into a Breloom? From a mushroom to a fighting machine. We also evolved Apollo, our Whismur, into a Loudred. On Route 112, we caught a Marrow and named it Neptune just in case we lose our Gyarados. As you can see, I like planning ahead for the future, just in case. Entering Fiery Path, we captured a Torkoal and named him Hades, but the real jackpot came on Route 113, where we found a rare Skarmory on the first try and named her Nike, the Greek goddess, not the shoe brand. After some more trainer beatdowns and a quick pit stop in Fallerbore Town, I found myself face to face with Team Magma on Mount Chimney. These guys were the fire-themed cousins of Team Aqua, which meant more goons to stomp around. And then, there's Maxie, the big boss himself. Breloom swiftly Mach punched his Mightyena into oblivion, his Camerupt tried to get spicy but Poseidon cooled it off with just 2 water guns, and lastly, Maxie's Zubat? Electrike turned it into toast with a spark. Maxie down, Meteorite secured, and I'm back on my badge quest. I headed south and caught a Numel in Jagged Pass, naming her Hestia. Finally, I arrived in Lava Ridge Town where Flannery's fire types awaited me. Skipping the small fry, I went straight to Flannery. Arcanthus, my newly evolved Pelipper, made quick work of her Numel and Slugma with a single water gun for each. Camerupt put up a fight, but after swapping between Poseidon and Arcanthus, it too fell. Finally, her Torkoal got washed away in a wave of water guns. 4 badges down, next up, Dad's Gym. But before that, I made a quick stop at Route 111 and caught a Trapinch, now nicknamed Gaia. Then it was back to Petalburg for the father-son showdown. Norman, aka the Slacking Slayer, awaited. Knowing his slacking was no joke, I had to strategize hard for this fight. Artemis swept his Spinda and Vigoroth, but Linoon gave us a bit of a scare before going down. And then came the big bad slacking. My plan? Well, Arcanthus and Protect spam, wearing down slacking while it loafed around. Once Protects ran dry, I called in Achilles, my Hariyama, who ended up finishing the job with a satisfying fake out. Badge 5, in the bag. Post-gym, I grabbed a Surf HM and headed to Route 106, where I caught a Tentacool, aptly named Scylla. Water types, check. Onward to Mauville City and then east to the Weather Institute. Team Aqua was once again up to no good, but Shelly's Carvanha and Mightyena were no match for Hera and Achilles. After the beatdown, a scientist handed me a cast form, but let's be real, it's not joining the squad. With my sights set on Fortree City, I was ready for a smooth journey, until May jumped out of nowhere like she had a score to settle. But before I could even say anything like, hey, how's it going, she threw out her Slugma. Luckily, Poseidon was more than prepared and turned that slug into a puddle with just 2 water guns. But May wasn't done yet. She sent out Grovyle and things got a bit more intense. Grovile's speed was no joke, but Nike, my Skarmory, was able to clip those leafy wings. A couple of air cutters later, and Grovyle was down for the count. May's last hope was her Lombre, but let's be honest, Nike was in the zone. One swift air cutter, and it was all over. With May out of the way, I continued my journey and finally arrived in Fortree City, eager to take on gym number 6. But before that, Steven taught me how to use a Devon Scope, revealing a wild Kecleon, which I caught and named Epithemius. With the path clear, it was gym time. I breezed through Winona's trainers and faced her head on. Hera shocked her Swablu out of the sky with Spark. After a few tense dragon dances, Altaria got paralyzed by Hera, letting Nike swoop in with Steel Wings for the KO. Tropius was up next, but Nike was on a roll and wasn't about to let a walking fruit salad stand in her way. With a powerful Steel Wing followed by a critical air cutter, Tropius was down before I even knew what hit it. Next up was Winona's Pelipper, but Hera had been itching for some action. With one well-placed spark, Pelipper didn't even get a chance to make a splash. And then came Winona's Pride and Joy, her very own Skarmory, but Hera wasn't intimidated. One look, one spark, and Winona's Skarmory was fried, feathers and all. 6 gym badges down and still not a single casualty in sight. But hey, not all is perfect. I accidentally knocked out a Shuppet on Route 121. Oops. After a few more trainer battles, I finally made it to Lily Cove City. We're kicking things off in Lily Cove City with a final rematch against May. May opens up with Tropius and I send out Hera. Hera gets the drop on Tropius with a paralyzing spark, leaving it ripe for the picking. I swap in Nike, my trusty Skarmory, who slices through Tropius with a couple of air cutters. Tropius drops faster than a bad haircut. Next, May sends out Slugma. Poseidon, as we already know, my mighty Marshtomp steps in and blasts it away with a water gun. Just as we're settling in, May's Grovyle makes his entrance. Back to Nike we go. Nike shows Grovyle who's boss with more air cutters. 1, 2, gone. Pelipper's up next for May, but Hera's got it covered. A well-timed spark after using Protect and Pelipper is toast. That's a wrap on our final showdown with May. I rush to heal my team because things are about to get spicy. With my Pokemon refreshed, I make my way to Mount Pier. And let me tell you, it's Trainer Central up there. I nearly lost Nike to a trainer's Wobbuffet, talk about a close call. At the top of Mount Pier, I confront Team Aqua in the midst of their scheme. They're trying to steal the Blue Orb, which they believe will awaken Kyogre, the legendary sea serpent. Their goal is to unleash Kyogre's power to flood the world and reshape it in their image. As I battle through these grunts, it's clear that they're gonna get away with the orb, so I need to stop them before they can execute their plan and cause chaos across Hoenn. As I fight my way through, I see that the Blue Orb is already in their possession. They're about to leave Mount Pier with it, and their leader Archie is raring to unleash Kyogre's power on an unsuspecting world. I take down the grunts and disrupt their scheme, but it's very clear that their plan is far from over. They got the orb, and now it's up to me to stop them before they can make their next move. Oh, and while I was there, I caught a nice little Vulpix and named it Cerberus again, continuing the tradition from Poochyena and Zigzagoon back at the start. After this, I decided no more captures, my team was set for the rest of the run. Next stop, Team Magma's hideout. I wade through countless grunts until I finally face Maxie again. From a distance, I spot a grayish Groudon. It's not looking too friendly. In battle, Arcanthus, my Pelipper, starts strong with a Surf against Maxie's Mightyena, almost knocking it out. I switch to Poseidon to keep Arcanthus safe from confusion, thanks to Mightyena's swagger. Poseidon finishes Mightyena with Strength and Water Gun. Maxie then brings out Crobat. I send in Hera, but confusion hits her hard. Hera smacked herself twice. What the hell? I switch to Nike, who doesn't make much of an impact either. Gaia comes out, but then gets dangerously low on HP. Clearly, this Crobat was a little bit of the threat. Time to bring back Arcanthus. Arcanthus unleashed a surf that wipes out Crobat, and his final Pokemon was Camerupt. No need to fear because Arcanthus is here and ready to knock it down with one surf too. Maxie is now defeated, and he mutters about how we've ruined his plan and that Groudon will still be a force to reckon with. I make a hasty exit from the hideout and head to Slateport City. I swing by the museum to grab TM46. It's always good to have a new move in the arsenal just in case. Back in Lily Cove City, I dive into Team Aqua's hideout. I take down all the members and piece together their devious plan. Then it's off to Moss Deep City, where I brace myself for the ultimate double battle against Tate and Liza. Oh brother, I was dreading this fight from the start of the run to now. I start with Nike and Arcanthus against their Clado and Xatu. Nike lands a Toxic on Xatu and Arcanthus uses Surf. I keep the pressure on with Swift and Surf until Toxic finally takes out Xatu. They bring out Lunatone, so I swap in Poseidon. Nike gets a Toxic on Claydol, while Poseidon spams Muddy Water, hitting both foes. Claydol goes down to Toxic, and then they bring out Solrock. I bring in Hera as Poseidon keeps up the Muddy Water barrage. Hera gets put to sleep, so Gaia joins the fray. Poseidon's Muddy Water takes out Lunatone. Solrock is the last one standing now, and I swap Poseidon for Artemis, my Breloom, and with Gaia's support, we finish off Tate and Liza. That's the 7th gym badge secured, and my team is still standing strong. Back to the Team Magma grind. This time I got backup. My buddy Steven joins the fray, and together we face off against Maxie and his partner in crime, Magma admin Tabitha. Steven leads with his Metang, and I bring out Poseidon. Maxie and Tabitha throw down with Camerupt and Mightyena. Poseidon unleashes a Muddy Water so powerful it takes out Camerupt, and in one hit it leaves Mightyena reeling. Here comes another Mightyena for Tabitha. Maxie swaps his Mightyena for Camerupt. With Steven's Metang and my Poseidon's Muddy Water, Camerupt goes down again, and we nearly finish off the remaining Mightyena. Some more Muddy Waters end up doing the trick, but of course Team Magma isn't done. They bring out Crobat and Golbat. I call in Hera to handle this mess. Metang gets a bit confused, which is just what we needed, a little extra chaos in our chaotic fight. Hera zaps Golbat into oblivion with Spark and almost takes out Crobat in one shot. A final Psychic from Metang finishes off Crobat, and we vanquish both the admin and the leader. With the bad guys dealt with, I dive underwater and discover Team Aqua's top secret base at Seafloor Cavern. We battle through a horde of Aqua Grunts until we reach Archie. Just like last time, Kyogre is ominously gray and ready to cause trouble. Archie kicks off the battle with a Mightyena. Hera steps up, unleashing 2 sparks, one of them being a critical hit, totally wiping out Mightyena. Next up is Crobat, which Hera paralyzes with 2 sparks and nearly finishes off. Despite being confused, Hera pulls through with another spark and takes Crobat down. No confusion can stop Hera's fury this time. Archie's last hope, Sharpedo, gets zapped into oblivion with a single spark from Hera. Archie's defeated and he starts blabbering about his failed plans as Kyogre awakens and then vanishes, leaving Archie in disbelief. Enter Maxie. He and Archie have a heated chat about their misguided plans. Maxie's determined to set things right while Archie is left scratching his head. Steven shows up to clear up the mess, explaining that Groudon and Kyogre are on a collision course. Time to dive underwater and head to Sulapolis City. What follows next as I arrive to Sulapolis City is one of the most epic cutscenes in all of Pokemon history. Groudon and Kyogre are ready to duke it out. Everyone in Sutapolis watches in awe as the legendary Pokemon go at it. Steven then takes us to the Cave of Origin where we meet Wallace. Wallace fills us in on Sky Pillar and sends us on our way. I make my way up Sky Pillar, battling through the staircase to the top where I find Rayquaza. Instead of a battle, I awaken Rayquaza from its slumber. Returning to Sutapolis, we get another dramatic cutscene with Rayquaza intervening and quelling the conflict between Groudon and Kyogre. Wallace, in his infinite wisdom, suggests that Archie and Maxie didn't mean any real harm and everything starts to settle down. With the legendary Pokemon Showdown resolved, it's time for the final gym battle. Juan, the final gym leader, awaits, and let me tell you, his gym puzzle is a nightmare when you're speeding through the game. The showdown with Juan begins, and it's time to see if my Pokemon can handle his watery might. Hera faces off against his Love Disc, and with a crackling spark, the Love Disc is down in one hit. Talk about a shocking start.
FBI? Him. Come on, man! There he is! Get him!
Next up is Whiscash, and I switch to Artemis. A few Mega Drains later, and Whiscash is sent packing, but not without putting up a fight. Celio's turn now, and it hits Artemis with an Aurora Beam that nearly takes Artemis out of the match. I swap back to Hera for a much needed breather. Hera tanks an Aurora Beam and retaliates with a Spark, knocking Celio out cold. Hera isn't done yet. She zaps Crowdon into submission with another Spark. Finally, it's Kingdra's turn. I use Thunder Wave to paralyze it, and Kingdra responds with a Water Pulse, but luck is on her side as Hera lands a super effective Thunder, taking Kingdra down in a single electrifying hit. Juan is defeated, and I'm officially the holder of all 8 gym badges. With my gym badge now complete, it's time to hit Evergrande City via Waterfall. Just a hop, skip, and splash away from the Pokemon League. Enter Victory Road, and just as I'm catching my breath, who should show up but Wally? Oh boy, do I have a bone to pick with him. Wally leads with Altaria and Hera steps up with Thunder Wave followed by 2 Thunders. Altaria is toast. Next, Delcatty hits the field and Artemis takes over. 3 Mach Punches later and Delcatty is down for the count. Wally's Ace Gardevoir comes in and I switch to Nike. 2 Steel Wings later and Gardevoir's also out, but then Magneton showed up. And we get stuck with Nike thanks to Magneton's Magnet Pool. Here comes the heartbreak. Gardevoir's Future Sight and Magneton's Thunderbolt combo takes Nike out, marking our first official loss. I'm devastated. Nike was a key Pokemon on our team and losing her stings. I should have known better about Magnet Pool. I blame myself entirely. Artemis, now being fired up, steps in to avenge Nike. 2 Mach Punches later and Magneton is down. Wally's final Pokemon, Rosalia, faces Hestia, my Camerupt, who makes an appearance on the team for the first time. Hestia erupts with a single eruption, one-shotting Rosalia. I'm fuming. This run will not end in defeat. We're fighting to the end for Nike. I head to the Pokemon Center, create a box named Dead, and lay Nike to rest with a few tears. I swap in Achilles to take Nike's place, and we march forward through Victory Road. Victory Road is a gauntlet, but we press on. No flash needed, just sheer determination. We beat the trainers, emerge from the road with no more losses, and arrive to the Pokemon League. Our team is healed, and we're mentally prepared for the final ultimate showdown. The strongest trainers in all of Hoenn are waiting, and we're ready to show them what we're made of. Elite 4 member number 1, Sydney. Sydney opens the battle with his Mighty Anna, but we've tackled plenty of these before. Hera steps up and zaps Mighty Anna with 2 sparks. One of them even puts Mighty Anna in a vegetative state. A solid start. Sydney counters with Shiftry, I switch to Hestia, and a single eruption incinerates Shiftry. Talk about a fiery exit. Crawdon's up next and I bring out Hera. 1 spark and Crawdon is out of there, though Hera took a hefty surf before the knockout. Cacturn appears and Artemis takes over. 3 Mach Punches later, Cacturn is down for the count. Sydney's final Pokemon is his ace Absol. I switch into Hestia and unleash an Earthquake, but Absol sets up a Swords Dance. It then rocks Hestia with a Rock Slide, leaving us with only 11 HP and flinches us. So swap it to Poseidon, but Absol lands a critical hit slash, almost knocking Poseidon out. Time for another switch. Artemis endures a slash attack, then retaliates with a Mach Punch, finishing Absol off. Sydney is defeated, and we're moving on. Elite 4 member number 2. Phoebe. Phoebe, the Ghost-type trainer who's more annoying than a mosquito at midnight, starts with her Dusclops. Hera handles it with a Spark, but not before Dusclops hits us with a Confuse Ray. We get Parahax and switch to Achilles, who Earthquakes his way to victory despite the confusion. Banette comes out next. Gaia, our Flygon, steps in and takes care of Banette with 2 crunches. No more Banette. Or Banette. I don't know how to say it. Another Dusclops appears. Poseidon takes the stage but gets frozen solid. Poseidon defrosts and starts dealing some damage to allow for Hestia to come out and finish the Dusclops. Her second Banette arrives and Hera returns to the field. Nothing like a good old bite spam to take down the Banette easily. Finally, Phoebe's final Pokemon is Sableye. We bring in Artemis, who starts setting up Leech Seed while Sableye uses Double Team. After a tedious back and forth of Mega Drains and Shadow Balls, Hera swoops in with Spark, landing a Parahax and finishing Sableye. Phoebe's defeated, 2 more to go. Elite 4 member number 3, Glacia. Glacia, Queen of Ice types, opens up with Celio. Hera blasts it with Thunder, and Celio's out in 1 shot. Next is Glalie. Hera delivers another Thunder, followed by Spark, taking down Glalie effortlessly. Her second Celio comes out next. Thunder strikes again, and Celio's one-shotted. Her second Glalie appears. Alright, seriously, does she only have these 2 ice Pokemon? Like, what's going on? Hera paralyzes Glalie with Spark, but then gets hit with an Ice Beam, leaving Hera nearly fainted. I switch to Achilles, who lands an Earthquake that almost defeats Glalie. Glalie retaliates with an Ice Beam, nearly fainting Achilles. I predict a full restore and swap to Poseidon, who finishes Glalie off with just 2 Earthquakes. Glacia's final Pokemon and ace, Walrein, hits the field. I guess she really does know how to only catch those 2 Pokemon. I don't know. Poseidon lands a few Earthquakes and Walrein goes down, and surprisingly she didn't use a full restore. Glacia's defeated, piece of cake. Elite 4 member number 4, Drake. Drake, the master of dragon types, starts with Shelgon. I open with Flygon, and not gonna lie, I just noticed while writing the script that they both have names that end in Gon, and that's hilarious to me. Flygon takes out Shelgon with 3 Dragon Breath. Drake's own Flygon is next. 2 more Dragon Breath from Gaia, and down goes the opposing Flygon. Altaria's up next, and the same strategy applies. 2 Dragon Breaths from Gaia, and Altaria falls. Kingdra appears, and I switch to Hera. Thunder lands with a Parahax, followed by another Thunder to defeat Kingdra. Drake's ace Salamence comes out. Hera lands a Thunder, but she also almost goes down, so I swap to Poseidon. Then I made a rookie mistake and used Earthquake with Poseidon, which doesn't affect Salamence at all. Salamence retaliates with Dragon Claw, hitting Poseidon hard. Poseidon uses Strength, but Drake heals Salamence with a full restore. I swap into Achilles, who uses Surf to little effort and then Reversal to nearly finish Salamence. Achilles survives with only 2 HP. So I decide I'm going to bring out Achilles for the finish, but this moment was when disaster struck. Artemis's Mach Punch fails to knock out Salamence. I watch in horror as Salamence remains standing, and then like a punch to the gut, Artemis goes down. I can't believe it. This isn't just any loss. This is Artemis, who's been with us through thick and thin from the very start. It's like losing a part of my soul. But you know what? There's no time for grief just yet. Hera, our last hope, returns to the field. And with a surge of determination, Hera unleashes a final thunderous spark that finally takes down Salamence. I'm devastated. I've just lost one of my most trusted allies due to a string of mistakes. The weight of Artemis's loss is crushing, but there's no room for weakness now. I have to channel this pain into strength. We've come too far to give up now. No excuses, no second chances. We have to win this. For Artemis, for the team, for everything we fought for. Elite Four member number 4 was now defeated, and only the champion stands between us and becoming the Pokemon champion. Alas, the final battle. In this game, the champion is Wallace, the very same Wallace who helped us save the Hoenn region from eternal collapse. Wallace opens up with his colossal Wailord. My heart pounds as Hera steps up to face it. With a roar of defiance, Hera unleashes a thunder that brings Wailord crashing down in a single electrifying shot. Wallace doesn't waste any time and sends out his Gyarados next. Hera's ready, and with a crackling spark, Gyarados falls just as quickly. The battle's intense, but I can't shake the feeling of foreboding as Wallace brings out his Wish Cache. Artemis would have been a godsend here, but alas, we have to make do. I swap into Achilles and start spamming Earthquake, hoping to make short work of the Wish Cache. The risk was high, and unfortunately it cost us another team member. Achilles falls, leaving a gaping hole in our lineup, but we push on. Poseidon charges in, determined to make up for the loss. He lands a powerful Earthquake, finishing off the Wish Cache. The end is within our grasp. Next up is Wallace's Ludicolo, a frustrating Pokemon that immediately starts setting up double teams. I send out Hera, desperate to land the thunder through the haze of evasiveness. With sheer determination, Hera nails Ludicolo with just 2 thunders, bringing it down. But the victory comes at a cost. Hera is left with almost 0 HP. Wallace's Tentacruel comes out, and I swap back into Poseidon, who with a mighty Earthquake takes down the Tentacruel in one go. And now the moment of truth. Wallace's ace Milotic emerges. Poseidon and Gaia give their all, landing some crucial damage with Earthquake and a Crunch. However, they only manage to soften up the Milotic, leaving it standing strong. Unfortunately, I had to make the painful decision to sacrifice my starter, Poseidon, and my beloved Gaia to push Milotic to the brink. With heavy heart but unwavering resolve, Hera returns to the battlefield. She's battered, but she's still not beaten. One final spark, and Hera delivers the blow that secures us our victory and crowns us the Pokemon champion. It's a bittersweet moment. We've achieved our goal, but at a tremendous cost. We lost so many brave partners along the way. Nike, Artemis, Achilles, Poseidon, and Gaia. Each of them was instrumental in our journey. Nike's strength, Artemis' speed, Achilles' resilience, Poseidon's wrath, and Gaia's strength were vital in getting us to this point. They were more than just Pokemon. They were a part of our family. Their sacrifices and their memories will forever be etched in our hearts. As we stand victorious, we remember them not only with sorrow but with pride. They helped us become champions, and their legacy lives on in every step of this journey. We did it. We became a Pokemon master. But the real victory is in honoring those who helped us get here. For them and for all the battles fought, we press on. And with that, that is the end of my story. I attempted to beat Pokemon Emerald as a hardcore Nuzlocke and came out with success. We've battled hard, lost some incredible teammates, had some good laughs, and ultimately emerged victorious as the Pokemon champion. Got a cool nickname idea for my next Pokemon adventure? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your creative suggestions. If you enjoyed this amazing and epic journey and would love to see more, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future adventures, and ring the bell to stay updated on all my Pokemon content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Pokemon video.